We have Mayuresh Joshi joining in as well on the show. Mayuresh, always a pleasure speaking with you. What are your thoughts on all of these consumer durables? I mean, the fact that this was a bit of a washout summer, and this afternoon we had a story coming in from Nisha as well saying that there could be some sort of, M&A activity, at least in the LED space. How do you play the consumer durables theme, and which pockets would you like?
I think the expectations mismatch is clearly getting played out because a large part of the thought process was that demand will be very, very robust looking at the heat wave across the country, but unseasonal rains have probably spoiled that. And therefore, the dampening effect that you're probably seeing in consumer durable growth, both from a macro data point of view and also from a reported company point of view, is probably going to get reflected in Q1 numbers as well. So I think it's going to be very slow recovery, at least for this financial year. Most players within this space itself, if I have to divide this into air condition makers, the other consumer durables like refrigerators, and again, I think the LED players that you're rightly pointing out. I think what has probably happened is even input costs have started coming off. So there has been an element that demand going up, some price cuts initiated, and therefore I think that will have a play in terms of even the margin profile for a lot of these companies as well. How demand will sustain in the second half, specifically looking at how the El Nino effect plays out, specifically in terms of rural discretionary and semi-urban discretionary spending, is one aspect to be watched out for. And therefore, I think the first half becomes extremely critical from a numbers perspective. Having said that, a few changes that are probably coming through. Nitin Gadkari has just mentioned AC cabins coming in for commercial vehicles from FY25 onwards. So again, I think there might be some near-term, short-term pain for a few of these air conditioning manufacturers. Blue Star, as an example, probably stays above key pivot levels on the O'Neill lens. Market share of around 13.5% in unitary cooling solutions. The EMPS, which is the engineering and project management services, expected to do well. Specifically looking at how the series segment might be poised in FY25 onwards, expecting to do around 1 million in terms of sales in the next couple of years. And therefore, I think if I have to pick and choose, I think if somebody is holding on to Blue Star, he or she may continue.
Mayuresh, what are you focused on in terms of a stock or two, really? Something new which your team is working on, you guys like?
Afternoon, Prashant. Yes, I think we're liking the auto ang space and some names from the capital goods stroke manufacturing space as well. So within auto angs, Rolex rings is something that we are liking at O'Neill. Two things, on an annualized basis, there has been a reasonable performance as far as the top line is concerned. Obviously, there were some one-offs from an accounting perspective as far as the EBITDA margins are concerned. But the management is pretty hopeful of maintaining margins about 23%. So I think anywhere between 23 and 24% as a band. Absolutely negligible debt onto its books. And the expectations in terms of the EV portfolio expected to ramp up with bearings expected to be around, with exports expected to be around 60-odd%. Expectation is that they will continue doing well on the top line growth. ROEs are also very good at this juncture, and therefore I think it fits most of the canceling parameters that we need. So I think Rolex rings is one stock that we like from the auto space. Within the cap goods stroke manufacturing space, Tube Investments is something that we continue to like. Engineering division volumes expected to remain strong. Mobility division is expected to continue performing well and contributing well, both in terms of top line as well as the EBIT performance as well. When it comes to the EV portfolio specifically, where the entire market is probably focused on, the three-wheeler EV has been well received in South India.
Hi, Mayuresh. Been listening to you. Good to have you on the show as always. Let's get your thoughts on the deal of the day, specifically on a stock like Piramal Enterprises. Nimesh was just explaining to us, obviously they're getting close to 5,000 crores with this block trade today. The stock is at a deep discount if you compare it to peers in the NBFC universe. Would you take a more meaningful look, I mean, from an investment perspective at all, beyond the headlines today?
I think it has done what it has done. Surabhi, good to be on your show as always. Two things. One, I think the wholesale book winding down has been a very, very serious attempt by Piramal over the last few quarters. Retail as a percentage of AUM is now almost 50-odd%, and the overall AUM growth is expected to be in mid-teens for the next few quarters. Obviously, when it comes to asset quality, specifically stage 3, it's around 3.8% with net NPAs around 1.9. provisioning coverage definitely needs a ramp up. So I think what they do with the sale proceeds from the Shriram sale is going to be extremely pertinent from a balance sheet perspective. Having said that, I think the entire journey that one was expecting in terms of the cleanup, what really happens in the next few quarters, I think is going to be very, very interesting, and a huge amount of re-rating triggers for the stock itself. So I think we'll not jump in right now. I think the EPS rating is relatively okayish on the UV lens, and therefore I think Q1 numbers is ideally what we watch out for. I think a large part of the price action has probably happened with the trade and the kind of money that is expected to flow on Piramal's balance sheet. But I think numbers will be something that will do the talking and the re-rating. So Q1 extremely critical for the stock.
Mayuresh, you were telling us about your stocks you like. You said Rolex Rings, Tube Investments, and was there a third? Or those were the two? Mayuresh, can you hear me?
Yes, Prashant.
Sorry, I was saying you mentioned Tube Investments, Rolex Rings. I was just checking, was there a third before you were cut off, or these were the two names?
No, there are plenty more. We also like KFin, which is obviously a proxy in terms of the entire Indian equity markets. Our own sense is that the stock is extremely well poised in terms of garnering share, both in terms of the existing market share, as well as expectations in terms of the issued solutions as well. A large part in terms of the portfolios that they're managing and the expectations in terms of more demat accounts getting incrementally added every month. I think it becomes a perfect proxy to the entire India growth story. So I think KFin is also something that we continue liking.
Right. Final question, Mayuresh, a couple of stocks doing extremely well. Saregama is one of them, up 9% in the broader markets, and Happiest Mind doing well as well. Have you tracked Saregama, by the way? I mean, they hold a lot of IP. I was just looking at their website. 1 out of 2 songs recorded in India in the music industry is actually, owned by them in terms of rights. Do you think them looking to unlock value in this in any form could be of some value to investors here?
Oh, absolutely. It can be a huge possibility because the kind of database that they've got and the copyrights that they're probably possessing, Mangalam, at this point of time, they can become a huge play once every record probably starts getting digitalized or used in some form or the other. So I think on the core business module itself, I think because of the database that it itself possessing can be a huge revenue driver going forward. But the other segments that they're also probably getting into, I think, is something that needs to be seen and observed. And therefore, yes, I think the momentum probably continues on to this stock. But as I said, not onto our core portfolios at this stage.
By the way, Mazgaon Dock is selling off today. That's been, again, it's been such a large mover. It's down about 7%. I don't think there's any news flow or anything. Any views, Mayuresh, here? Mazgaon?
No, I mean, look at the move, Prashant. I think it's a move 60-odd%, if I'm not mistaken, in the matter of a few days. So I think some shakeout, some profit booking is what I perceive. Nothing specific that either.
All right, Mayuresh, thank you so much for joining in and giving us your perspective on a bunch of stocks and giving us some new stocks as well. So we will keep our conversation going on this platform and the others as well. Thank you so much.